I was going to ask. So, what are your views on death?
Hmm.
And because we touched on this earlier, and it, it tells us something about the nature of reality, doesn't it? That it doesn't necessarily care so much for the woes of the individual, and or maybe it does, and maybe there's some necessity to having anxiety to perpetuate the species and so on and so forth as part of this grand foliation. But it does seem a bit mean, doesn't it? And to give these entities all this uncertainty about it as well. And
Hmm.
why would that? Any thoughts on this anyway?
Yeah, I mean, no, there's so much to say about death and the way that human culture is so profoundly shaped by our response to
Mm,
death, and different cultures have different responses to it. And I think so much of what drives contemporary consumerist culture is a kind of denial of death. We want we and expect that, or many people expect that technology and medical advances will eventually allow us to defeat death. There's a whole transhumanist movement that refers to people who find death to be something essential to life that we have to accept. They call us, I count myself among those people, they call us deathists because for them, for these transhumanists, death is just a disease that we should cure.
mm.
Um, I
It's a
don't think they've
medical it's a
pro-
medical problem, kind of thing. It's yeah.
Yeah, it's a medical problem. It's a limitation that increasing knowledge can eliminate. But I don't think they've really thought through what a human being who lives forever, what a life that's indefinite, where we're functionally immortal, what that would really be like, and how much actually of the deepest meaning that we find in our lives comes from its finitude.
Mm,
And is it really possible to love someone if there's no risk of losing them, or if that time that we have together on this earth is indefinitely prolongable? I mean, I think it really does start to change the deep existential structure of human existence when we consider eliminating death somehow. Um, I think there are a lot of other ways that that sort of transhumanist project can go wrong, but I also think, if we were to want to develop, say, a more ecological approach to ethics. Environmental ethics is a big field in philosophy, because we need to reimagine our relationship to the natural world.
mm,
One of the ways I've been sort of exploring, another possibility for developing an ecological ethics would be to consider reincarnation, and to do so in a more or less naturalistic way, just to relate to the whole history of life on Earth, all of the species which have existed, and the lineages that we as human beings are, born out of. We are the reincarnation of this continuous
mm,
stream of, successful organisms. I mean,
mm,
99% of all the species to ever have existed have gone extinct, but for those organisms that are alive today, we inherit, the achievements of billions of years of
mm,
evolutionary struggle and joy, I think.
mm,
Um, and so, in a real evolutionary sense, um, reincarnation is real, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and
And
so I
basically, it's
feel
kind of
like,
eating itself as well. It's like a big
hmm,
restaurant, isn't it? We consume, that seems to be
yeah,
almost foundationally. Eating seems to be, we imbibe some of the external world into ourselves, and then put some of our own self out into the external world. And that, I mean, these are the sorts of things that you can once say they're undeniable in some
yeah,
sense. The idea of the
right,
continuation of generations and
yeah,
continuous journey
and
towards
to
war.
yeah, and but to feel okay with
Mm.
that, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. Seeing that it's not all about you or
Right.
about one. It's about the grand foliation, if you can call it that.
Yeah, no, I like that term. But we need a shift in human identity that allows us to not just, consider as an idea that we are related to the rest of life on this planet. I mean,
Mm,
most educated people accept this idea of a common ancestor of all of life.
Mm.
But if we
Oh
can go
yeah.
beyond just the idea of it, to
Mm.
really feel that and to identify with life as a whole,
Mm.
I think, and also to consider, this reincarnational perspective, not just as a way of relating to the past, to the
Mm.
history of life, but think about the future. In some
Mm.
way, the damage we do today,
Mm.
it's not just going to affect other people or other beings, like who we really are, our
Mm.
true identity, like is continuous with this stream of life. We will
Mm.
be here in the future to suffer the consequences
Mm.
of what we're doing today, right? And so this broadened
Yeah.
sense of identity that I think comes along with considering a more or less naturalistic understanding of reincarnation could be really fruitful for helping us to avert, you know, catastrophe,
Mm.
ecologically speaking. And so it, in terms of relating to death, it's like it doesn't make death any more um, difficult on some level. Like we give up a lot
Mm.
when we die, but I don't think we give up everything. Like this body, everything we've tended to identify with while alive in this body will perish.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure of that. But I think that there's this underlying continuity that will continue. And I don't have any scientific proof of that, obviously. I'm building analogies.
Mm.
Um, and, looking at, say, the way in which it's very odd that we don't fully consider this, but like we're awake for 2/3 of the day and then for a third of the 24 hours.